I'm going to give you a demonstration of what that looks like when you have it. Any questions up to this point? Okay. So the DAC is what manages all of the data load processing in the BI application. So in Informatica, you build out all your ETL mappings, or if you have the BI apps, they come with the applications. The DAC actually manages the execution of the workflows and will do things like before a load, if you need to build some or drop some indices on a set of tables, and then after the load is done, rebuild those indices, the DAC can handle that management for you. So it has its own repository of information related to your whole data warehousing load process.
So it's kind of like just ETL process metadata?
I'm sorry?
Is it similar to just the ETL process metadata?
Yeah. Yep. So, you know, it'd be like if you had another, if you were doing your own custom data warehouse, if you had your own sort of scheduling tool that managed all of your loads for you, that repository of information is available. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. So what we have here are a few dashboards that allow us to do that impact analysis in data lineage. So I'm going to go right to this impact analysis tab that I have here. I apologize, it looks like our projector is a little bit skewed there. Not sure why it's angled there. I'm going to mess with it too much here. So what I have here is I have a dashboard that's really designed to allow me to pick anything from the source all the way up through the presentation catalog, and I can ask, okay, if I want to change this one particular thing, how does that, what all gets affected by that? So I'm going to come in here, for example, and choose, actually, before I do that, get rid of this catalog. And let's say I'm going to change the definition of the total assets column. So what I've got here is a nice little report that tells me for this total assets column, it's in OBIEE, we call them subject areas. For those of you not familiar with what subject areas are, this is what you build your reports off of. So this particular column is in 2 different subject areas. It appears on 2 different dashboards, on 12 different reports. There's 6 different metrics and attributes that are built off of it. 1 logical column, which is links to 4 different physical database fields in the metadata. And through all of the ETL that's run in this entire system, it actually touches 97 different source fields. Now we're going to whittle that down a little bit here. But that's, you know, just some sort of some statistical information that I get about this particular column. And then as I get down further here, I can see I've got more information. I can actually see those specific items. So I can see the 2 dashboards that this appears on. I can see all the reports. I only show it with 10 here. But I can see all the reports that touch this particular column. The presentation catalogs that leverage it. And if I get down into the metadata down here, I can see here all the different presentation columns, logical columns, and the data warehouse columns that total assets touches. I also can get into my source system dependencies, but I'm going to put that one on hold for a second until I can get further into the data lineage piece to show why there's so many different source system dependencies. So just kind of scrolling down here further, I'm going to narrow my list down a little bit here because I really want total assets not from my account and customer management tables, but I really want it from the fact table. It just so happens we have 3 different columns named total assets here. Which is interesting to find out as I'm looking at my environment. So I'm going to just kind of re-drill into my dashboard here to focus on just the one that comes from the fact table. So my statistics don't change too much because it looks like the one in the fact table is the one that's the most used, which is interesting to note as well. So I've still got the same list out here. So this gives me a good representation of all the things that are impacted, the things that I might need to go address if I'm going to change the definition of this particular column. Now I'm going to also take this into a data lineage capability. And we go to another dashboard up here called Data Lineage, where I've kind of set everything up to be a little bit more an exploration of where things come from and how they're defined. So you can see here, I've got my total assets. So this is the logical expression for the business model. So when you're building your metadata in OBIEE, and you're in that center section where you're building out your business model, here's the calculation that actually defines that particular column. So I can see that information right there. I don't have to go in the metadata to find that. I can also see the different database tables that this comes from. And looking at this, it's probably the case that these two dimensions are brought into the equation based on this logical expression down here, because there are a number of different columns that are referenced here. So probably those two dimensions come from that. And I've also got a aggregate fact table here. That's what this underscore A represents. So I really only want to focus on this WGL balance F, the balance global one amount. So I'm going to kind of go here to explore the sources a little bit, and this just kind of re-drills back into the dashboard, filtering it down a little bit further. So now I get a little bit more focused on what I want to see here. I want to really understand how is this balanced global one amount being populated, because I want to check that out from a data lineage perspective. Maybe I'm actually trying to research why data in that particular column isn't being populated correctly. Now I can come over here to my sources, and if you're familiar with Informatica at all, you actually have different folders that you work with within Informatica that do different types of processing. And in the BI apps, we have something called silos and PLP. PLP stands for post-load processing. And I'm not really interested in post-load processing at this point because I want to know where things sort of originated from. So if I switch over to this folder here, now I get to know a much more manageable number of columns, and I can see here that the balanced global one amount is really originating from this GL balances table. We've got a begin balance credit, begin balance, ER is currency code, translated flag, and we also bring in the period dimension to qualify it a little bit further. So this shows how I can do, I started off with impact analysis. I wanted to understand, okay, if I'm going to make a change to my total assets column, what's impacted by that? But now I can also hop immediately into a data lineage mode to understand, well, where did that come from?